everyone, it's Dot, and today we're making a creamy roasted pumpkin soup. And the nice thing about this recipe is even if you don't have a pie pumpkin on hand, you can go ahead and use canned pumpkin. But I've got a pie pumpkin, so I'm going to use that and get it ready for the oven. Now the first thing you do is you have to take off this stem here. And in theory, you should be able just to twist. Oh, not too shabby. Let's see if I can get the rest off. Yay, I just ripped that puppy right off. Normally you can twist them, but I didn't have a good grip. So anyway, I'm going to put my knife here and I'm going to firmly press down. There we go. And cut in. Now I will say I have it on a cloth because your pumpkin rolls around a little bit too much and the cloth steadies it. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting through half the pumpkin. And now I'm going to turn it around and go through the other half of the pumpkin. It really is that easy to cut through these, which is awesome. I'm going to get rid of my cloth, put my knife aside, and I'm going to basically take out all of the membranes on the inside and the seeds. I'm going to save the seeds because I'll use them later on for another dish. And I'm just using a regular old spoon from my kitchen drawer. All right, my pumpkins are all nice and cleaned out. And what I'm going to do next, the towel is back, and I'm going to cut these, my halves, in half. So I'm going to basically quarter this pumpkin. There we go. Got my pumpkin quarters. I have a little bit of light olive oil, and I'm just going to add just a dab to each one. Not a whole lot. This particular olive oil has a minimal taste to it, which is why I'm using it, and also it has a higher smoke point. And I'm just going to rub the olive oil on the flesh of the pumpkin. Next up, I'm just going to add a touch of sea salt. And again, this is to help pull out some of the liquid that's in the pumpkin as well. Now, normally when I'm just roasting pumpkin, I would add some black pepper. This time I'm not, simply because I want to control that a little bit when I make the soup itself. I am going to be using pepper, but I want to control how much is in there, and I want to really do it to taste. These are going in the oven at 450 for about 30-35 minutes. And what I want to do is make sure I can pierce it with a fork very easily, the flesh. Pumpkins are done, they're out of the oven. You can see the skin is all nice and wrinkled. And all you have to do, I let it cool just for a few minutes so I can touch them. They're still quite warm. And you just start peeling them. And the skin is just gonna come off real easily and not really take any flesh with it. So I'm gonna go around the edges, make sure I get all that skin off. Don't want it. Pumpkins peeled and we're ready to go. I'm just gonna chop them up into cubes, and I'm not going to have them very large. I want them to break apart in the soup, so when you're in the broth, they can disintegrate, basically. I started heating up my pan over medium heat. Wanted the pan to get nice and hot. I'm adding my butter. Butter's melted, and go the onions and some minced garlic. I just want to soften the onion. We're going to add the pumpkin, some broth, and I'm using a vegetable broth for this recipe. I'm adding Lakanto monk fruit, golden. Next up are my seasonings. I'm adding cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, white pepper. You don't have to worry about white pepper if you don't want to. You can use black, that's easier for you. And cayenne pepper, and a rather large pinch of sea salt. I'm going to bring it to a boil. Got a boil going, turn the heat down to low. I'm going to add some cream. Now I'm going to bring it up to a simmer for about 15-20 minutes or so. I took it off heat. Now it's time to start pureeing, and I'm going to use an immersion blender. I'm a little nervous about using this. I'm using my nonstick pan, even though this pan is supposed to be that tough where I could use metal in it. If I need to, I can always put this in a blender as well. But here we go. I always go on low, and I just sort of start at the top just to start breaking everything up. All right, everything is pureed. However, I'm going to add just a little bit more broth because I want it a little bit, or not as thick as it is right now, although it is lovely. And add just a little bit at a time. You're doing this just until you get your desired thickness. So that was probably a tablespoon of broth. And I might add a second tablespoon, and that should get me where I want. It is done. I have my toppings all in here. Toppings are optional, that's up to you. Let's go ahead and give it a taste. I'm going to try it without the toppings first. It has a wonderful, robust, intense flavor to it. A little sweet, but that's expected. I put some sweetener in there. Certainly can leave that out, but I think it adds a nice little touch. It's perfect for the holiday season. That's the best way I can describe it. It reminds you of a nice warm soup you would have on a cold winter night when it's close to Christmas. Very tasty. So I'm gonna go ahead and try it now with the pumpkin seeds and the creme fraiche. And again, you could use sour cream if you prefer. Okay, wow, that's even better. It just adds a little bit of a tangy taste to it, which is expected. Your taste buds will just love you for it. Let's just put it that way. It's really awesome. And the pumpkin seeds, they're just optional, but it adds a nice little bit of crunch and a little bit more of the pumpkin flavor. Definitely give this a try. It's definitely worthwhile and very easy to make. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, hit like, subscribe, and share with your friends. And until next time, I'll see ya.